to Podcast Fandom, the official podcast for ProjectFandom.com. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm Donald.
And I'm John.
And we are back to discuss the season finale of Paper Girls. Season 1, Episode 8, It Be Over. I forgot to mention that that's how they talk in the future for some reason. I think it's to imply that our whole internet speech thrived. There's a lot of that. It be over. Are you here? That type of thing.
LOL.
Yeah. Oh God.
BRB.
Before we get started, I have to apologize. I spoiled the dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, you did do that.
I did not think they were going, because
She's like, this is a different show. They're not going to do it.
no. The main reason I didn't give it a second thought is because we saw them arrive before and they didn't do it. So I was just thinking, oh, well, maybe they got rid of it because it's going to look ridiculous. Or they just thought that's a bridge too far. But like the very first time you see the old timers or whatever they're called, the old watch, they are riding those dinosaurs. So I was like, surely if they didn't do it all the other times we've seen them, you know, Adina Porter ass wasn't riding around on a dinosaur.
It was just him. It's like he was the only one privileged enough to have him.
So I just didn't think they was going to go there. My bad. As soon as I said I saw dinosaur, I was like, God damn it.
I mean, it wasn't a big spoiler. I didn't feel.
Okay,
Yeah, I did. It was
okay.
just like, I was like, fine. Like, I like, it wasn't shocking or anything.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right.
If you're down to it.
So that was the
And I mean,
Mm.
and in a world where like we've seen 14 dragons on Game of Thrones and House of Dragon, like,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, yeah, you got one dinosaur, it's fine.
I like the explanation was that, I think we talked about this, like plucking them at a time right before their extinction, so it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't
Yeah, the free
disrupt
jack.
anything. Yeah, that's it, free jack. So this was the season finale, but maybe series because we've not heard anything yet. I could be mistaken.
They're bad for you. Come on. It
John,
can't end like this.
John, I don't put my faith in networks anymore. I've been hurt too many times.
Well, Amazon
This
doesn't have
HBO Max.
Amazon doesn't have the library that Netflix has with their original programming, so I could see this one being picked up and finished.
They spent $1 billion on fucking Lord of the Rings. Like they can make a Paper Girls season 2.
And I didn't read the article, but I saw a headline that said that this Lord of the Rings is like the future of Amazon streaming is this. Like, if this doesn't do well, they're fucked.
It's going to do well because of the name.
I mean,
People fucking love Lord of the Rings.
I guess.
I mean, and I have heard like it is good apparently.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
like, is the name strong enough to get people to watch it if it's not good?
But I mean, they did it was really stupid what they did. Because I think didn't they spent like $250 million just for the rights, and then
Yes.
they also committed $1 billion over 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? I can see why HBO Max would not do that.
Yeah. Apparently, they're like, we have our dragons. We'll be fine.
I mean, it's kind of like Disney Plus and Marvel, where I'm sure that they're spending that kind of money, but like it's Marvel,
Right.
and they're able to like, oh, we have 12 different shows, like Lord of the Rings. They got one show and
And
it's
they
one
have-
story.
And they have, like, credit, so they have reason to believe people are going to show up. and stream.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, this was again season finale. It be over. Overall thoughts, Donnie. You've been quiet.
It was good. I didn't expect any of this. I didn't know how the show was going to go. I definitely thought it was going to end without a cliffhanger.
Really?
Yeah. Because I thought they would have some. I don't know. I guess with the old watches, I just expected them to get back to their time and then something happened from there. Or I don't know. But I didn't expect them to go the sliders route. But season 2 is gonna be sliders. I'm telling you.
Oh, that'd be great. Just keep going different times.
Yeah. Trying to find each other. But yeah, I mean, it was really good. It's the same thing. Like these girls just acted their asses off. They were just they're great. Like just watching these girls act.
Mm-hmm. I thought the same thing. Like there's a lot of times with Tiffany, younger Tiffany, like her listening acting is really good. Like some people don't have good listening acting where we're hearing the dialogue but the camera's on her face and not the person speaking, and we're seeing her reaction to it. And I just feel like that's how real people look when they're listening. Like, I don't believe she knows that, you know, the dialogue that's coming.
Right.
I absolutely believe this is a conversation happening for the first time. Okay, John, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I think, what was I going to say? I was going to say something, and I completely lost it. Anyway, I think the strong point of the show for the entire season has been the character development and the relationships between those characters. And I think like that we saw that here, you know, it was very strong in this episode too, where you really feel the connection between them that has grown all season. And to the point where, like, when they're saying, no, we're sticking together, like, you feel it. Because I feel like not only has the acting been strong and the writing of their relationships have been strong, but, like, the directing and, like, the choices of what scenes to hold on. And, like, we talked about that in previous episodes. But, like, I just feel like they did a really good job of manipulating the audience to really understand, like, the feelings that these characters have with each other. And the thing I remember, I was going to say that I like, because you mentioned young Tiffany, I like that her older self actually is just great.
Yeah.
like there's no, like, pulling the rug out,
Right.
like whoops, like, it's just, yeah, she actually is just a genius. And she, like, the whole thing apparently, is on her. So that was cool. So I there were moments in this episode where I was like, some stuff is just kind of happening, where it's just like, it felt like stuff just kind of happened to happen.
The beginning was frustrating to me because I was like, they ended, for me, the previous episode ended with, like, this sense of urgency. And then this episode was like, breaker, 1, 2, 3. I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
And then they all split up.
Yeah.
They're all in different locations.
And then he was like, I can't leave Mima. And I was like, did we not have this discussion already? Like, where did we think was happening?
Yeah, it kind of, like, the episode kind of, overall, kind of feels like maybe they had a different ending in mind, and they were like, you know what, maybe we're going to do a season 2. And then they kind of had to swap some things around. I guess what it feels like. It feels a little bit like, oh, well, this kind of just has to happen this way, to where we can set up the next scene to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't, some moments didn't really feel like they flowed, like, especially not as well as the rest of the season has felt.
I just thought that beginning was frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I think it just dragged out. Like, why are we taking this long to leave?
Well, it's the same way was at the end when they're getting on the little ship. Like, it was.
Yeah.
They kept splitting up.
Well, they had KJ just be a white woman for some reason.
That was specifically what I'm thinking of.
Right. She watched all this. She just waited until they get out on, and then started talking. Like, it was just weird.
Yeah,
how
it was just like, it just felt like, oh, she has to do this so that we can end up splitting them together apart.
Right.
And so like it just felt like they were setting up the next season, and that's fine. Like, I feel like I'm okay with that. And I'm willing to give shows that kind of leeway in moments like this, because we alluded to earlier, like, you never know when you're going to get a second season.
Right.
So like, maybe they did find out, like, hey, we might get a second season, and they were like, well, now we got to try to just kind of cobble it together. And but I enjoyed it. That's the thing. I enjoyed it overall. It wasn't the strongest episode for those reasons, but I mean, I really liked it, and I think it does set up a second season that they better have.
I think it was great. It's, to me, one of the few times where I feel like a live action adaptation has been better than the source material. I think as a comic, it works because it's so over the top. Like I said, they come in riding dinosaurs. It's like, you turn the page and it's this last page. They're just with the saddles and everything, and like, what the fuck? And I think that kind of worked. Like, how fast it was. They didn't, like you mentioned, they let moments breathe in this show, and they allowed the relationships to build. In the comic book, everything was just really, really fast. And there were a lot of other differences and it's great on its own. Again, I still recommend go read it. But I will say, if you, I would wait to see what they do with a second season. And then I would suggest, if you were going to come back for a second season, that you then wait to read the series. And again, it's a really short, fast read at just 30 issues. So, yeah. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, if you have Kindle Unlimited, I think you can borrow them for free. Like, I don't even think you have to pay for them. But, I mean, I think they're included in your subscription, I should say. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoy the story, or the way they're telling this story, which again is different, better, more than I enjoyed reading the series. And I think that's pretty rare. But yeah, for all the reasons we said, the acting was great. For some reason, this episode in particular, I felt like the actors who play KJ and Mac, I wondered if they were hiding British accents, because I felt like a couple of lines they said, but then I don't know, because follow me here, the actress who plays KJ, I was thinking her voice sounds like someone to me, and it just hit me. But you guys, this may be too deep for y'all. Did y'all ever watch Little House on the Prairie?
I did, but I can't say that I...
Oh, it kind of reminds me, I think her name was Nellie. Like, the kind of bully. She had, like, blonde ringlets, and I think her dad owned, like, the general store or something, and it was kind of like... She has, like, it's something with her voice. Anyway, there was a couple of lines. I think the actress who plays KJ has a distinct voice, is what I'm saying. The second thing is, though, there were a couple of lines that they both delivered that I thought it just the pronunciation of certain words, I wondered if they were like hiding a British accent.
That's interesting.
Or some accent. But go
just
ahead.
really quickly, you mentioned like being reminded of someone by KJ, and that the whole season, I was kind of like, she kind of reminded me of Anton Yelchin when he was younger.
Oh yeah, I
Like
can
the
see
voice,
that.
yeah, I think, yeah, it was. I felt like, she was kind of like that, and I think I don't know, he wasn't British, but he was from somewhere. That's very specific.
He's oh my god, was he Ukrainian?
Is he Russian? He might have been.
Russian? Or, yeah, I'm not sure. Well, the actress who plays Mac.
Russian.
Okay. The actor who plays Mac, Sofia Rosinski, it just says that she split her time between Los Angeles and the United Kingdom. In her...
Whoa.
playing. Well, hold on a second. So I was like, why are they mentioning her as like both girls? I'm like, why is they mentioning two girls in her bio? But up top it says that she formed a production company with her sister, Alexis Rosinski. But yeah, so she grew up between here and the United Kingdom. And I don't see anything for Fina Straza is her name. I'm willing to bet she has an accent.
It's so weird seeing Mac with long hair.
Yeah.
Like you just see the pictures when you Google, and she's got long hair, and I was like, what the fuck? Who is this?
There's a really great picture of them together that I really like.
Have you seen, they were, yeah, I think Amazon just shared, they did a photo shoot the other day. But they made them look like Polaroids or something.
Well, hopefully that means there's a second season if they're still promoting the show or promoting the girls, hopefully. Oh my gosh, the actress who plays...
is a native New Yorker.
She's only 15. That shocks me more than the fact that she's a native New Yorker. Fina Straza.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's super young. I already thought she was older. But anyway, overall, again, loved it. Let's talk about the scenes. Like I said, this opening I thought was just, it dragged out for, I thought, a bit too long, just in terms of like the sense of urgency. And I don't know, maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe they want you to be really tense, like, hurry up, go, before something plops out of that purple cloud. But it just got frustrating, because they kept looking back at the cloud and spitting shit out. And it was like they're behaving like there's an imminent threat, but they're not acting like it. Like, their body language was like, their faces were like, we're scared. And I'm like, okay, well, move your ass. Like, why aren't you?
It was like they were acting as if they knew there was going to be something to keep them there.
Yes.
Like the walkie-talkie thing is what actually ends up keeping them from actually leaving.
Right.
But then, like, it was like they knew that was going to happen. So they just kept kind of, like, dilly-dallying around.
Oh, and in all actuality, I just feel like they could have taken the walkie-talkies with them. Right? Couldn't they have done that in the car? Because that's all they did. They wanted to be able to talk to the
but I thought they had to do it at that far cloud. I thought that was the connection point to that time.
Were they at that when they were using it in 88?
Yes, because remember the whole sky was purple.
So you're saying the further they get away from that point, they may not work.
Right.
Okay, within that.
The connection.
Okay. Now it's interesting though that Juniper mentions the underground group uses them because their communication can't be monitored or tracked using those radios. Now, considering what we know about Tiffany, it would be kind of cool. Well, no, because the whole point at the end with Pryor's is that she's gonna want Tiffany to not invent time travel, right? Because time travel is what starts the war, right? Of the descendants going back in time to fuck with things, right? So she's thinking, oh, go show her this, tell her everything, and she's confident she'll make a different choice. But knowing what we know about the STF using those radios, what if she can't make a different choice, but like her knowledge of the radios working enables the underground to even exist or to function, right? Because that's how they communicate. So it's just kind of interesting that it's something that was Tiffany's. Like, she's the character that brought those radios into the story. And look how important they are. Like, what are the fucking chances that the only thing that can communicate through time is not an iPhone, not a Samsung, but these little, I don't know. That would be kind of... Because, and I will just say, this isn't in the book. Like, it's not Tiffany. As a matter of fact, the woman whose name is mentioned at the end is, like, the first woman to, like, travel through time or something. Like, the team that she's talking about.
Right.
And she says, Joan Braunstein or whatever. Yeah. So, it's, like, it's unclear. It's, like, is Tiffany... Does she put the things in motion for time travel? It has to be that, right? To eventually exist. Not that she specifically invents it. Like her institute, right? Mm-hmm. Because it was invented in the future of priors in them. You know what I mean? They're descendants.
Right.
You get what I'm saying, right? So it's not physically Tiffany, unless...
It could... See, and when they talked about that, I was like, okay, because I thought they said... they said her or her... Because she says her institute, but then I swear to God something came up.
If he says what I just said, John, I'm going to choke him. But go ahead.
But they mentioned the doctor in the future.
Yes.
Like future.
Joan,
so
right.
why could it be her daughter?
Like a descendant or something. I mean, but yeah, I guess. I'm thinking like comic knowledge that it's so far in the future though that like Tiffany wouldn't even be alive.
Right. It would be.
Right.
It could be.
So like yeah.
Yeah, kind of like.
But it's definitely because of her institute, right? Because that's what got her attention, and we know that she eventually becomes a doctor.
Unless she time travels.
Right, I was going to say, unless she does that. Like, if you just keep time traveling so you don't age, you can't die. You're just, like, hopping all around the place.
Kind of like Reed Richards in Marvel and his connections. And then it's also reminded me of, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Rise of the Rocket Girls, and it's about the women in, like, the space program, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California. Mm. And that's kind of what they go into with that, is like the computing that they're doing, you know, by hand, eventually leads to like the ability to get to the moon. And it's kind of like that. It's like when you said like about Tiffany kind of setting that in stone, that just kind of reminded me of that. It's like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of what happens, is that she just kind of, you know, gets the ball rolling, and then her work and her knowledge of things, maybe, you know, all of these experiences that she wouldn't have known without this experience.
Yeah, the whole paradox stuff. But they end up using the radios, thinking that they can then talk to Heck and Naldo and tell them not to do what they're going to do. And they get excited until they realize that the other walkie-talkie at this point is when they have it. So they hear Mac.
And I don't remember that from the first episode. And I'm like,
remember after they knocked Erin over? Remember they grabbed Erin off the bike and then they ran off. They took the walkie-talkie that Erin had. She had Tiffany's other walkie-talkie because they were going to split up, remember? Mm-hmm. And she was like, I promise I'll pay you back and all that stuff. And then at some point, the walkie-talkie went off. And that's when Mac said what she said. And that's when they were like, I'm sick of being fucked with today. Let's go fuck those guys up. But they're just ready to go brawl. Yeah. But that's when it happened. Okay, so Mac is alone with KJ in the barn, and she tries to thank KJ for just being a good person, and she, like, they're touching hands, and KJ gets uncomfortable, and she takes her hand away, and Mac takes that wrong. She's like, this is what you get for opening up to bitches.
It's like, what the fuck? Like, I finally am a human being.
Right.
And you're like, you're feeling feelings.
Ew, yeah.
That's not my fault. Why you gotta treat me like shit? She just runs off.
So Mac goes into the house where she finds Priors is inside with Meemaw. KJ eventually enters, and when KJ is ready to fight, Mac is like, I wants to go home. She folds immediately. She's like, November 1st, 1988. Get me the fuck out of here.
I don't want to remember this.
Yep.
Oh my god.
She doesn't want to remember that she's going to die.
Oh, yeah, and that's the fucked up
totally
thing.
understandable.
Yeah. She's sick of it. And at this point, though, she's just like sick of fighting, too. Like, she's just like, I just want to go back to my shitty bed.
Like, and they talk about it like later on, like they don't even know what day it is, like how long they've been gone. Like they said, it feels so
much longer than it's actually been for them.
Mm-hmm.
So grandfather, they're taken to grandfather who has the Walkman, listening to Bad Medicine by Bon Jovi. And he assures them that he just wants to take them home. They can go home, memories wiped, they'll be back in their beds, they'll never know that this happened. But then KJ has the idea, well, wait a minute, can't you take us to the future first where surely you've cured cancer by then, right? And cure my friend, and then put us back. And this is when he explains basically time degradation, and he uses the tape. And listen, I grew up in the 80s. I absolutely remember getting, like, wanting music. Like, sometimes you'd have tapes and you want to, like, reuse them and have to, like take that whole thing out. Or, like, if it broke or if it got, like, messed up, clip it and then get Scotch tape and put it back together.
Yeah.
Oh, those are the lean days. Those times were hard. That was some serious problems.
You try to record a song off the radio, and it's like you gotta hope that you don't catch any of the ads.
Yes. So DJ, shut the fuck up, please. Shut up. My song is starting.
But I can say the word you said.
Degradation.
Yes, but they, like, even with VHS tapes and all that stuff, I just remember recording over and over. It's just how bad it got. Like, you're losing pixels and pixels every time you did it.
Oh, to be poor. To be poor.
It was so fucked up, too, because, like, he says, like, yeah, cancer is totally a thing of the past.
Yes.
But I can't fucking do anything for you.
Yes.
Because I don't want to.
Yes. So then Mac is like, fine, can you fucking do me twice, please? Can you please give me the extra scrub? Oh,
he's like, I like you.
Larry won't run away with them. This is, and again, this is, some of this stuff is kind of going on simultaneously because they don't yet know that the bad guys are here. And Erin tells him to get his shit together. He's like, I can't leave my Meemaw. He's like, listen, you can't do anything for her if you don't live to fight. Just bring your ass on. So she leaves, and once she's on her way inside the house, that's when she sees her and Tiffany and Larry see the dinosaur. Adult Tiffany is trying to get in the car. She's like, dinosaurs, time to go.
That was, she was in the car. She's
Get
like,
in the fucking car. I would have been ready to kill them kids. You hear me? Don't get your ass in this goddamn car.
It's time to go.
But young Tiffany tells adult Tiffany, take your ass on and invent time travel. She writes it on the notebook. And then the scene where adult Tiffany gets abluted, that looks like something out of a comic book. Like, everything about it, like the way her body was just kind of like limp, like a doll, and like the outline of her clothes and her hair, it's like, that looks so like a comic book, that pink lighting to it. So then we meet Tessa the dinosaur. And KJ asks a really good question. She says, you killed those STF guys. That didn't fuck up your precious timeline. What the fuck? Why is that different? And this motherfucker was basically like, I don't know, stop asking questions. Just do what I said. This was very do as I said, not because I said so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, because I said so. It's like,
I like that they
it's
brought
his
up
grandfather.
that he brought up that they report somebody else above him.
Well, no, because she asked. She was like, well, if you don't know, like, who's your boss? He was like, no, there's nobody else. I don't have a boss. And she was like, well, why don't you know these things? And this is when he was just like, look, get your asses in this station.
That was interesting, too, because, and I could be completely remembering wrong, because I do, obviously, all the time. But earlier in an earlier episode, when he was talking to Prioress, wasn't there some, like, talk where he said he got promoted or something to his current position?
I thought so. And that
like,
they had
they
like
used to be
worked
partners.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, who promoted him if he doesn't have a boss?
Mm. Um. So this causes Mac to change her mind. She says she's not going to go. She's like, you know what? Fuck you guys. And Larry steps forward, trying to do the right thing. Meanwhile, Erin and Tiffany are still hidden. So Prioress and Grandfather don't see them. Larry steps forward with a shotgun, trying to do the right thing, and he is killed again.
Like, how does this work? How do you?
He's like, Kenny, every season, I guarantee you, every season, they're just going to travel through time, and Larry keeps.
Every Larry they meet, they just die. They get him killed.
Different ways to die.
Oh my god, these terrible ways.
I mean, legitimately, like, this one was asking for it. Like, how do you not at least pull the trigger?
Right? Yeah.
Like, I don't know how, like, because, like, even later, when the one guy gets shot by Prioress, he gets a shot off.
Right.
It's like, why couldn't you had a shotgun, you had your finger on the trigger, you're not just going to pull the trigger when you see a dinosaur eating your face?
Grandfather was like, I did not want that guy to get chopped. You saw me try to save him from himself. Prioress just picks up her gun. Like, Jesus. The girls, in the meantime, had run into the cellar. And, like, Erin was like 2 episodes ago, she was like, fuck you, Larry. Fuck you and everyone who loves you. And now she's like, oh, he didn't deserve that. Like, 2 episodes ago, she gleefully told this man how he died. Yeah, she was like, shit, that was rough.
I mean,
she was like,
eaten by a dinosaur.
Yeah, she was like, I've seen some shit. No, she goes, I've seen myself die, and that was nothing compared to watching this grown-ass man get swallowed whole by a dinosaur. Like, he had to still be alive when he landed, right? Or do you think there's like some stomach acid that, like...
Oh, man. That just reminded me of a recent movie that I won't say.
Okay. Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, right. You know the movie. You've seen it.
Right? It's just soup. I don't know. Oh god. Anyway, in the cellar, Mac tells them, everyone, that she has cancer, and they decide that they're going to, eventually decide they're going to stick together. They're going to go out there.
They're going to be paper girls.
Shut up. You say it, when you say it, it's corny. Shut up.
It was. I was like, what? She said, we're paper girls. We stick together. And I was like, I sat here for a solid, like, 30 seconds trying to think, like, paper girls stick together? Like, is there some play on words that I'm missing? Or
No.
But no, it's just their friends.
It's just that, right. But if you think about it, though, like, when they met, they were, like, to me, let me womansplain it to you men making light of this, okay? It wasn't supposed to be a play on words. If you think about it, they were girls off doing their jobs. It wasn't safe for them the way it was for boys, right? Like, they had to worry about being harassed, as you saw, and picked on and messed with. And so they decided to, like, stick together, but at the same time split up, right? And then look what happened. And everything they've accomplished, like, every time they split up, something bad happens. So I think it was, like, more like that, you know? That if they're not, that it hasn't worked for them in the past to split up, right?
And we talked about, like, when they first, like, the very first episode, when Erin shows up and Tiffany and helps her.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of, like, stick together. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just like, we're in this together. And that it just immediately created camaraderie between two characters that before that scene had never met each other before.
So Mac apologizes for her attitude, and everyone assures her it's fine, and KJ invites everyone to her mitzvah, and everyone says they're going to go.
Mac says she's not wearing a dress.
She's not wearing a dress. When they get outside and they have to give their names, you see she reacts to Tiffany's name, Tiffany Quilkin.
Yes.
Max says, I'm bent over. This is my friend Buck Naked. I don't know. That kind of humor, that just, I don't know. Maybe it's her delivery, but that really worked on me.
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
I say, well, what worked on me was when she told them the truth.
Mm,
Finally, in the cellar,
yeah.
I genuinely was like welling up because like the way that she did it, and then like the way that they kind of like when Aaron realized that she had lied
She
about the
lied about
veterinarian.
being a vet. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, and that was one of those scenes where like just the way it was shot, they just kind of like they held on it,
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't rush through that. They
Yeah.
let it sit in a moment where it was like, yeah, this is a big deal, and we're gonna let it just play out for a
Mm-hmm.
minute, and it worked really well.
Um, they get on the ship, on the spaceship. They wonder about alien abduction. Like, if this is what really happens when people claim to be abducted by UFOs. And there's, I think, Donnie, you had kind of touched on this earlier, that cute moment where Mac defends having a clove cigarette. She's like, first of all, it was only a clove, so it doesn't count. Second of all, that was only last night. Like, everything feels like it was like COVID years, basically.
And it was either Aaron or Kate. One of them said they just felt older.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, you think about like the time travel and stuff like that. If that does affect your age.
That'd be cool. That would be interesting because, like, that does happen with like space travel.
Right, like light speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like when you're in space, like you age slower. So like I wonder if it is something like they could introduce that. But then this is a show that like that. It's an interesting thing about this show where it's not that serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't really get into like hard science. But then it does have like one moment where like adult Tiffany will be like, oh, this is a wormhole, and it's like, what the fuck? Where did this come from?
Right.
And it's like I could see like this show just kind of be like, oh yeah, when you time travel, you age differently or something.
Yeah.
Just the way they could just throw it out, and that'd be cool.
So Pyrus wants to take Tiffany with her. The others won't allow that. They're like, the fuck you will. So she ends up taking all of them. I like that KJ was like, and I think if he was going to do it, you'd have done it by now.
Yeah, like Katie was kind of like she was like standing up this whole episode. I was like,
KJ's that bitch, okay? In the comic books, she's absolutely, and in the show. And this is when she explains the institute, the Quilkin connection, Dr. Joan Bronstein. Basically, she doesn't specifically say they invented time travel or she did it, but she just says the team that made it possible for their descendants to come back in time and fuck with them and start everything. So she's like, if you want to save your friend, again implying there's a way to save Mac from dying of cancer. So she gets on the controls to bring down one of those look like little Hershey Kisses, little space things. And our closed caption just said, beeping and blipping.
oh yeah, getting paid overtime for that shit.
All this science, space travel shit's time travel's going on. Beeping and blipping. So get in this ship. And for... she was basically saying, like, I was your age when this happened,
yeah,
like when the others came back and she joined, right? There was a
terrorist attack,
right? So she was basically like, I didn't choose this thug life; it chose me.
Now
but you have choices. Like, tell Dr. Quilkin what you see.
Right.
She's like Gamora.
She's like, I've been doing this shit since I'm tired. We just
Right.
need to end this shit.
And then for some reason, the woman's like, hurry up, get in there, let's go. And then for some reason, KJ just had to white woman it up. She's like, listen, I am so, so sorry. She had to center herself in this moment that was about not just all of them, but like the entire world. It's been a war going on through time. And she's like, hold on. I've got to unload this off my spirit.
And it was just so awkward because it might have worked, it might have played if it happened instantly, right? Like if the three of them went into the ship and then she immediately went over to Prioress. But it was like all of them went in there and they were like, KJ, what the fuck are you doing?
Right,
And it was
right.
like 30 seconds of her like just kind of standing there, and then she starts talking, and immediately after she starts talking, it's like they
Yeah.
show up.
And I mean, I will say the most realistic thing is that this black woman put her ass on the line. And it cost her life because this white woman couldn't just shut her fucking mouth and get in the goddamn Hershey kiss and go take her ass to wherever the fuck she was going. So, but they're separated when Erin and then later Tiffany runs out of the pod to help Prioress heal from the gunshot wound. The guy that interrupted all that, using those little bugs that healed her.
Yeah. Lightning bugs.
Yeah.
That's like it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't feel like the show is that serious.
Right.
But then you see like, oh yeah, they're gonna just explain casually how these bug things work.
Right.
Like just the way that the way he kills her. And it's like, oh, it's kind of like nanobots.
Yep.
Kind of.
They weren't done doing what they were doing.
He's like, we're going to turn those off and return them to this canister.
So they're separated, right? KJ and Matt go presumably to the well, we know that Prioress was setting it for
a specific.
Well,
time.
when we say future, we mean we're still kind of situating ourselves like 2019. They're on the spaceship. They were not really in any specific time, but the last they were in were 2019, right?
In the right now.
No, 1999.
Yes.
No.
They're in 1999 right now.
Yeah, that's where they
Yes,
were.
1999. Right. So they're going to presumably send them to the future where Tiffany can make a different choice.
Right.
But like several things happened. Like Prioress was on the controls, but then the guy who shot her had done something.
Yes.
Yeah.
He trying to stop it.
So we don't even know for a
buttons.
fact that KJ and Mac went to where
we don't
Prioress wanted them to go.
Right. We don't know where they're.
And we see Prioress gets another little Hershey kiss for Erin and Tiffany, and we see in the end they end up like in the 50s or some shit.
Right.
And I was like, why did
somebody fucked with that control panel too? Like grandfather started messing with it, right? After she said it, did somebody go?
Yeah.
He started messing with buttons again.
Well, he asked the woman, the one. At
Oh,
the
that's
control,
right. Where did they go?
And then she didn't say anything, and he looked at it, and then that's when he was like,
okay.
Shit. He's like, what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah, they tried to stop it, but they couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
So it went where I don't know if Prioress intentionally sent them to the 70s, or if it's like
that's what I thought.
She just
was
kind
an
of
accident.
that was like the fastest thing she could do.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wanted to get them out of there as quickly as possible.
But
So I don't know.
But not knowing where the other two went, it's just
Right.
Yeah.
they're with the dinosaurs.
Stop saying that. Okay, so we got feedback. I was about to read the wrong person's feedback. This is Cedric for a different show. I'm sorry. Kimberly says, so we reached the end of the season, perhaps series. Now the girls know they are in a time loop that presumably cannot be changed. Poor Matt. First, the realization that there will be no opportunity to detect her cancer early and keep her alive. Then she comes face to face with Adina Porter's character, Prioress. She decides to trust Adina. Is it because her reality is so bleak? Yeah, she's tired, girl. She was tired. She does, however, she does, however, include Tiffany and Erin in on her secret, which gives the Paper Girls time to share a bonding moment. This show really made me like Mac, and given my feelings for her in episodes 1 and 2, that's saying something. Really, I like them all immediately, but I have history, so do you know, I had like no reason not to like them because I already like them. We get the man-eating dinosaur that was previously referenced. Poor swallowed Larry, but our
swallowed Larry.
Swallowed.
I guess the other guy is disintegrated Larry. Every new
I'm telling you, he's like Kenny. Are pterodactyls really dinosaurs? Yeah. What do you mean?
I mean, I do.
She's trying to Pluto them. She's like,
I do think they did recently. Science was like pterodactyls ain't dinosaurs.
oh my god.
I think. I was thinking that when I was watching this, and they kept calling it
There were
dinosaurs.
birds.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, she says, just like the STF, the old watch appears to be so entrenched in their philosophies that they can't even conceive of being wrong. We learned why an institute was named after Tiffany, who played as critical role in the invention of time travel. Priors risked it all in the hopes that Tiffany can somehow change the future. Like, I don't know. That's going to be really interesting. I would try, because again, this isn't in the comic book, so I was just thinking, like, why would she make a different choice? Like, you guys are fighting? What are you fighting about? Like, maybe what if she, like, picked a side? But she already knows, right? Yeah, she already knows. The Tiffany that does this already knows about the STF and the fighting. No, she doesn't, because she was obluded. Right. That's right.
I was thinking, like,
she's
does
obluded.
Does she get her notebook back?
Yeah, but I don't know what that told her. I'm thinking she had to, right? Because something had to spark all this that does that. But she wouldn't know about Larry and them unless that stuff is written in there. And I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I was wondering if that, because the way that, Larry and Juniper, they made the tapes to remind themselves, Yeah. Like, I was wondering, because they didn't really explain why that works or how it works. Like, they just kind of explained, like, he ran a recording, and then apparently he,
I guess it's
and apparently it doesn't.
You're doing like
and
a
it doesn't always work, though.
Yeah, and it's more of a mind wipe than a reset everything timeline.
Well, no, we kind of talked about that, right? Like, do they put something in there, or do you just think you, like, if they asked Juniper where she was,
right? But what kind of John was talking about the tape recorder, because you're actually putting it on a print, so you can always go back to that rather than it's in your head type of thing. So if you put it on a photo or you write it down, that stuff can't be erased. They're only messing with the people's minds, not the actual objects in the world.
Right, but like, what I think what he's saying is, would that be enough? Like, so
if
they erase like a
day
out of your life,
I don't know who,
and then you watch a video that just says this is who you are and this is what's going on. And, like, I don't think that's enough to make you remember the day that you lost. You're just like, okay, fuck, they got me, and you go right back on being a rebel. Right. Yeah,
like I don't know how the tape recording is supposed to work, so that's why I can't really transpose that onto her notebook and to say, if she just reads that notebook, it'll jog her memory. Like, I don't know, but I was wondering if that might be enough to just kind of get her brain to re-jog or something. I don't know.
She then says KJ's stupid ass causes Prior's death and nearly destroys her efforts to change things. Erin then compounds the problem, accomplishing absolutely nothing in the process other than getting the controls and the planned destination programmed into them messed up, which results in Tiffany, the only one whose return via Prior's pod matters the most, almost being left behind. We end the episode with Tiffany and Erin being sometime in the 1970s. I like this show. I like how that's how she just ends it. Yeah, I like this show. I liked it too. I'm glad that we covered it.
There was something it's so interesting. I obviously I like time travel shit, and I like most people. Most people like time travel shit. But like the idea of like not knowing how time travel, not actually still knowing how time travel works in this universe. And I know, Nina, you said they kind of get into how it works in the comics. So I'm interested to they gotta have a second season because I gotta know how it works, because like in a linear timeline, right? Everything there's already a paradox now, because Larry in 1999 is fucking dead, so Larry in 2019 can't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
So like there's already a paradox that they have to get around somehow. So I'm so interested in how they explain like how the time travel works.
Well, I hope they get an opportunity to do so. I hope it gets renewed because, again, I really liked it. I think it was like the perfect amount of episodes. I think they did well with what they, had. I felt like things mattered. The characters were great. It was just a fun ride. So, yay. And it's nice to see an adaptation like be good and get to finish. Like it doesn't get canceled before they get to tell their story. That's always nice.
Look, I mean, I didn't that the Resident Evil stuff that show could not draw me.
I didn't even bother.
In my opinion, Netflix did the right thing.
This was like Paper Girls is definitely like it's the kind of story that I feel like the comics, sure, but like there's 30 issues, right? Like I feel like it's a story that I could absolutely like read a novel about. It just feels like the kind of stuff that like you could just flesh out like and really go deep into like how time travel works and the dinosaurs and going into different time periods.
Yeah,
it would just be interesting.
What do we have coming up? So this week, more House of the Dragon. Very excited to watch the second episode tomorrow and record for it this week with Sarah. Donnie and I are actually, when we're done talking about this, we're going to dive back into more The Sandman, which has been great. Can't wait to see what happens next, and we'll be recording for that sometime tomorrow. So premium and time travel folks will have that to look forward to. More Itaewon class with me and Kaylee, and of course more She-Hulk will be on episode 3 by that point. Don't forget, week after next we're starting a new K-drama, Extraordinary Attorney Woo, and as always, feedback for that and everything that we cover should be sent to feedback@projectfandom.com, and we will read it on the air. That's it. Fingers crossed for season 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do my Googles and see what people are saying. Yeah, definitely.
I will watch if they need me to. I will watch their Lord of the Rings bullshit. Just give me some season 2 of this.
Yeah, there's already been some articles about it. I'm gonna go read them now. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you next time.